Which SEC teams have the most prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft? Find out in this video. The SEC normally dominates the draft, and it looks like the 2025 draft won't be any different. There are a ton of prospects in this video. If you're new, subscribe to the channel as I'm releasing draft content all year long. But for now, I'm Chase Keller, and welcome to Best 2025 NFL Draft Prospects from every SEC school. Enjoy. In this video, all the prospects listed are inside the top 224 on Mock Draft Database. There are 3 schools without anyone in the top 224, and those 3 schools are Mississippi State in 16th, Vanderbilt in 15th, and surprisingly, Auburn in 14th. Kicking off this list in the 13th spot are the Missouri Tigers, who have 1 prospect in the top 224. That 1 prospect is obviously a huge one, being Luther Burden, a wide receiver ranked 6th on the consensus board. Burden has shown his phenomenal speed and agility, which he doesn't just show as a receiver, but he also shows as a return specialist. And for those who are wondering, quarterback Brady Cook is all the way in 671st place. With just 1 prospect, even though he's one of the best, the Missouri Tigers are 13th. Moving on to the 12th spot here, the Florida Gators have 2 prospects who are projected to be drafted. One of the best corners in this class comes out of Florida, with Jason Marshall Jr. ranked 87th with his physical play style. Following behind him is linebacker Shamar James, who has good athleticism with coverage instincts. Safety Kamari Wilson just missed out on the top 224. With 2 2025 NFL Draft prospects, the Florida Gators are ranked 12th on this list. Moving on to number 11 with 3 draftable prospects, the South Carolina Gamecocks are on this list. Similarly to Florida, the South Carolina Gamecocks' best prospect is a cornerback in Nick Amanwari, ranked 93rd. He's been one of South Carolina's best defenders since he was a freshman, and his 6'3", 230-pound build will bring teams in. Not far behind him is defensive tackle TJ Sanders, who was a pretty good power rusher on the inside, and running back Jaheim Sanders, who just transferred in from Arkansas this season. And with his 6'2", 242-pound frame, he's one prospect to watch this season. With 3 prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft, South Carolina just misses out on the top 10. We have a 2-way tie for 9th and 10th, and the way tiebreakers will work is the team with the highest ranked prospect will be higher on the list. With that being said, we were just talking about the Arkansas Razorbacks, and they are ranked 10th in the SEC. Defensive lineman Landon Jackson is one of the most notable prospects going into this upcoming draft, and he is ranked 38th on the consensus board. He's super quick off the line with great hands when rushing the passer, but he can also impact in the run as well. Offensive tackle Fernando Carmona is 164th on this list, and he looks to prove himself after transferring in from San Jose State this offseason. Linebacker Xavier Sori Jr. is not too far behind Carmona, and he has a lot of blitzing upside and run defending upside. And wide receiver Andrew Armstrong is ranked 220th, barely making it into the draftable prospect list. The Arkansas Razorbacks find their way to 10th on this list with their 4 2025 NFL Draft prospects. The Tennessee Volunteers are ranked 9th on this list, and they are obviously going to be the better 4 prospect team. That's because they have the 2nd ranked prospect in all of the draft, and that is edge rusher James Pierce Jr. He was recently the number 1 overall pick in my way too early 2025 mock draft, and he might be the best SEC edge rusher since Will Anderson. He is a phenomenal pass rusher with a wide arsenal and a phenomenal bull rush, but he also is a high impact player in the run as well. After Pierce, offensive tackle John Campbell Jr. looks to replicate what Darnell Wright did a few years ago as the Vols right tackle. Brew McCoy is a highly known player in the college football world, and his nice combination of size and athletic traits makes him a projected 6th round pick. And another offensive line prospect in Javonte Spraggins rounds out this Tennessee prospect list. With 4 2025 NFL Draft prospects, The Tennessee Vols are ranked 9th on this list. Another two-way tie, this time for 7th and 8th, and in the 8th slot, the Oklahoma Sooners find their way on this list. The prospects begin with linebacker Danny Stutzman, who was a potential day 2 pick last year, but he opted in for another season of college football. He is a lengthy linebacker with a gritty play style and nice tackling abilities. And another top 100 prospect here is edge rusher Dasan McCullough, who despite having no sacks last year is a high upside pass rusher who hopefully can recover from injury. Two Sooners defensive backs in Gentry Williams and Billy Bowman go back to back here, and both of them are good zone defensive backs with nice instincts. Afterwards, wide receiver Deion Burks looks to capitalize after transferring in from Purdue. And rounding out this list is offensive tackle Jacob Sexton, who looks to repeat what Tyler Guyton did last year and skyrocket his stock up to the first round maybe. With 6 prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Oklahoma Sooners are ranked 8th on this list. Tied with the Oklahoma Sooners are the Ole Miss Rebels, who rank 7th with 4 prospects better than Oklahoma's best. And that begins with their defensive tackle duo, both transfers coming in. Princely Umanmielen and Walter Nolan. Umanmielen is a Florida transfer who could have been in the 2024 NFL Draft as a potential day 2 pick, and Nolan, a Texas A&M transfer, is a perfect complement to Umanmielen with his nice physical play style. Afterwards, wide receiver Trey Harris looks to bring forward his deep threat ability to the NFL as he plays his last college football season in 2024. He was also the 3rd and final Ole Miss prospect to go in my way too early 2025 mock draft. Quarterback Jackson Dart has a huge opportunity to prove himself for this upcoming season. He might be one of the first quarterbacks off the board if he does. Antwain Wells Jr. joined the squad after transferring in from South Carolina, but he also has something to prove, that he can recover from injury. And finally, tight end Caden Prescorn is more of a receiving threat than he is a blocking threat. Also with 6 total prospects, the Ole Miss Rebels rank 7th in the SEC. The second team of 3 that really shocked me when it comes to how many total prospects they have are the Kentucky Wildcats, who have 8 guys inside the top 224. And they have a huge name player in defensive tackle Dion Walker. He's a powerful guy on the inside who really wins with leverage and great hand technique, and his 6'6", 348-pound frame is going to absolutely get teams to love him. Also on that Wildcat defense is linebacker Jamon Dumas Johnson, who transferred in from Georgia in the offseason. He is a good tackler who did start 2 seasons with one of the best defenses in all of college football. That's really nice. Everyone else on this squad is a projected day 3 talent, beginning with a wide receiver duo of Barian Brown and Dane Key. Maxwell Hairston really intrigues me as a prospect because he's developed a lot since joining Kentucky as a freshman. Underdogs are really fun to watch, so keep your eye out for Hairston this upcoming season. Offensive tackle Marquez Cox is a guy who really impressed in his last season with Kentucky, and he's going into his 6th season in college football after spending his first 4 with Northern Illinois. JJ Weaver is another guy to watch out for, as the value run defender is a projected 6th round pick. And cornerback JQ Hardaway is lining up alongside Hairston, and honestly, this Wildcat defense is looking pretty scary this upcoming year. With a total of 8 prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Kentucky Wildcats are ranked 6th on this list. Entering into the top 5, the LSU Tigers also have 8 prospects inside the top 224. And there are 3 first-rounders that they have, beginning with offensive tackle Will Campbell. The projected first tackle off the board, his great footwork and play strength allows for him to keep up with some of the strongest rushers in the country. Linebacker Harold Perkins is up next, and the former edge rusher is honestly very intriguing to look at. He's extremely talented all around, and going into his first full season at linebacker, he could be the next Devin White. And lining up alongside Will Campbell is Emory Jones Jr., another first-round prospect with great leverage and versatility. After those first three prospects, it goes down a bit, with safety Major Burns at 176. He passed up on the 2024 NFL draft to go back to school and increase his draft stock. Cornerback Zy Alexander is a lean corner, but his nice ball tracking abilities have him ranked 178th. Tight end Mason Taylor had that game winner against Bama a couple years ago, and I loved that game winner, so I can't wait to see him grow as an NFL draft prospect. And then two wideouts, Kyron Lacey and CJ Daniels, wrap up this LSU prospect list. LSU's 8th 2025 NFL draft prospects get them to 5th on this list. Moving on to 4th on this list, the Alabama Crimson Tide have 10 total prospects. In Kalen DeBoer's first year at head coach, he only has one first-round prospect in offensive tackle Tyler Booker. The versatile and great run-blocking guard can be seen as a tackle in the NFL, and it really shows in his athletic ability. But right behind them is quarterback Jalen Milroe, who has a lot to prove this upcoming season. But he does not need to prove his athleticism and dual threat value, as he's already shown that as Alabama's signal caller. Safety Malachi Moore is nicely ranked 69th with his great versatility and ball skills, which have shined since he joined the Tide. Washington transfer Parker Brailsford might be a little undersized, but he can block both the pass and the run. Jeremiah Alexander made the move from inside to outside in the 2023 season, and he has proved that he can play both inside and outside. Another transfer incoming, this one being USC's Domani Jackson. And the cornerback really needs to prove a lot if he wants to be drafted 109th like he's ranked. And then another transfer in Washington wide receiver Jeremy Bernard, who has a really good combination of size and athleticism. The big nose tackle in Jaheim Otis is also projected to be drafted, as his explosiveness and lateral ability will have teams really liking him. Lining up with Otis is Tim Smith, another defensive tackle who has played 1,200 snaps under the Tide in his 4 seasons. And finally, tight end CJ Dupree looks to capitalize off of his not so great 187-yard, 0 touchdown season in 2023. People doubt Kalen DeBoer, but he's got a good line of prospects going into the 2024 season. And with that total of 10 prospects projected to be drafted, the Crimson Tide are ranked 4th in the SEC. Tied with the Tide, no pun intended, the Texas Longhorns are ranked 3rd on this list with their 10 prospects. One of my most viewed videos on my channel is a debate between Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu. I might just have to make another one of those videos involving LSU's Will Campbell and Texas tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. Banks is crazy good in pass protection, and he's only allowed 3 sacks in his 2 seasons with the Longhorns. And then they have the potential QB1 in this class with Quinn Ewers, and that's honestly really only because it's a weak class. But I really liked his decision to come back to school, as he needs to work on his consistency all around. And then Alabama transfer wide receiver Isaiah Bond had a really good end of the season last year, and he looks to capitalize off that as Ewers wide receiver 1. Safety Andrew Makuba comes in from Clemson, and he looks to be a great man safety just like he was with the Tigers. DJ Campbell is really hard to get around on the inside, as his sheer power and length allows for him to block both the pass and the run. Then edge rusher Trey Moore is a guy who I'm going to be keeping a close eye on. As a transfer from UTSA, he put up 22 sacks and 35 tackles for loss over the last 2 seasons. So we'll see how that translates over to SEC football. Defensive tackle Alfred Collins could have been in the 2024 draft, but his great play strength brings him back to school for 1 more year. Lining up alongside Trey Burke is Ethan Moore, who proved in 2023 that he can both rush the passer and defend the run. And lining up alongside Isaiah Bond is wide receiver Matthew Golden, who transferred in from Houston and looks to be an impact in both the receiving game and on special teams. And finally, defensive back Jahdae Barron looks to bring his leadership and ball hawking skills back for his 5th season. So, with a total of 10 2025 NFL draft prospects, the Texas Longhorns rank 3rd in the SEC. I shouldn't be shocked with this placement, but I am. In the runner-up spot in the SEC, the Texas A&M Aggies have 11 prospects here. I say I shouldn't be shocked because they always have a bunch of prospects, but they don't end up working out. But they did just land a huge transfer from Purdue, edge rusher Nick Scorton. 8 sacks, 32 stops, and a fantastic pass rush arsenal led to a lot of success in the Big Ten. Now he looks to bring that to the SEC. Defensive tackle Shamar Turner has the ability to play off the edge, but his fantastic bull rush against bigger blockers will likely keep him on the inside. And then their quarterback Connor Weigman has a lot to prove in 2024. But if he can prove himself, he might be a top quarterback. He also has to stay healthy though, let's keep that in mind. Then offensive tackle Ruben Fothery II starts a very long line of day 3 prospects, but his 6'8" frame might elevate him into day 2. Another offensive lineman in Bryce Foster has the potential to be the best center in a very weak center class. Sandwiched between those two linemen is cornerback Will Lee III, and the transfer from Kansas State looks to capitalize off a dominant year with the Wildcats. Wide receiver Moose Muhammad has one of the best names in college football, but also has some of the best yak ability in college football. Safety Bryce Anderson doesn't have the best ball production, but his nice instincts could make him do for a big season. Another offensive lineman prospect here is Trey Zune III, who is another physical specimen. But combine that with his athleticism and he is a very intriguing prospect. And while safety Jacoby Matthews is in the transfer portal, he is still down as an Aggie and will likely stay that way unless he transfers elsewhere. And finally, wide receiver Noah Thomas is a 6'6" big boy who looks to extend his play style outside of just being a jump ball guy. So there you have it. Texas A&M has 11 2025 NFL draft prospects, which ranks them second in the conference. And finally, the SEC team with the most 2025 NFL draft prospects is none other than the Georgia Bulldogs. With 13 prospects inside the top 224 this season, we got a lot of guys to go over, so stick in with me here. Beginning with their quarterback, Carson Beck, he's projected to be the first quarterback off the board. He's got the poise and pocket presence that teams want, but he needs to prove himself to just be more than that. And a huge name in Malachi Starks is the 16th ranked prospect at the time of this recording. Ranked as the 4th best prospect in his high school class, his great combination of athleticism and ball skills really gets me going. And Michael Williams was the 7th ranked prospect in that same high school class. He is a super versatile defender with the measurables, athletic traits, and physical traits to succeed. Back-to-back interior offensive lineman prospects in Ernest Green and Tate Ratledge made the top 60. Green will likely move inside due to his great power and hand placement, and Ratledge is another super physical blocker, ready to take on his 5th season. Smale Munden Jr. is another guy who opted out of the 2024 draft to come back to school, and his coverage and instincts should get teams interested. Another lineman in Nazir Stackhouse returned back to school as well, and he brings back his great gap control. Oscar Delp emerges as one of the best tight end prospects in the 2025 draft, but he has some big shoes to fill after the departure of Brock Bowers. And Jalen Walker rounds out the top prospects in the top 100. There are 9 Georgia prospects in the top 100. We still have 4 more prospects, beginning with cornerback Dalen Everett, a former 5-star prospect who has had a solid first 2 seasons with the Bulldogs. Then the Florida transfer, running back Trevor Etienne, is looking to be Georgia's running back number 1, but his DUI arrest did decrease his stock a little bit. Wide receiver Colby Young comes in as the potential wide receiver 1 for Georgia, and he looks to boost his own stock while being the 2025 draft's QB1's wide receiver 1. And finally, the 6th-year offensive lineman Xavier Truss is a nice athlete and a good leader. Wow, 13 prospects down. Georgia has dominated the draft over the last few years, and they look to do it again. With 13 prospects in the top 224 of the 2025 NFL Draft, the Georgia Bulldogs are the best team in the SEC. Well, those are the top SEC prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft. Is there anyone who should be on this list? Let me know in the comments section below. Wait, are you not subscribed yet? Well, do it now. I release content like this all the time and would really appreciate your support. I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and I will see you all next time.